joining me now. Mark Serrano's back, Ford O'Connell, David Morey, and Michael Caputo. All right, let me start with you, Mark Serrano. I just find it fascinating. This used to be a bedrock pillar of the GOP platform, free trade, and now it's not. What's going on?
Yeah, you're right, Charles, and I'm a reflection of that. In 1993, I ran a campaign for the business community to support the passage of NAFTA, and we won. Republicans teamed up with President Clinton to pass NAFTA. But look, after 20 years, we now have the proof in the demonstration of the fact that other markets and other deals across the world are open to selling their goods in the United States, but we don't have the same level of access. The playing field is not level, and these surplus trade countries are not making investments in their domestic markets to stimulate, products being purchased here. It's just not a level playing field. We've seen it for 20 years, and who's gotten stiffed and the shaft but the American worker? We've seen it in our employment. We've seen it in manufacturing, particularly in Pennsylvania and Ohio and other states. And we now have the proof. As a Republican who worked on NAFTA, right, I can tell you Trump is right on this issue.
But, Michael, here's the conundrum to a certain degree. January 1st, 1994, NAFTA goes into effect. In Pennsylvania, 850,000 manufacturing workers. That number's down to 500-some-odd thousand now. However, output has gone up by billions and billions and billions. So there's something there. There's got to be something else influencing this. Some would say it's productivity. Some would say it's computers, robots, software, those sort of things. So it's not a singular issue, is it?
It isn't, but all of those things, it's very complex, but what the voters care about is the singular impact of jobs. And I'm talking to you from Buffalo, New York, not far away from Pittsburgh, not far from Cleveland and Toledo and Detroit, and all these other great manufacturing cities that have been hollowed out by these terrible trade agreements long before NAFTA, but really hit by NAFTA, and now with this new trade agreement that Hillary Clinton was behind and now she's against, this TPP. There are people around these very important areas, the Pennsylvanias, the Ohios, the places where Donald Trump really has to win, who understand the impact of bad trade deals because they've lost their jobs, their uncles, their grandfathers, their fathers have lost jobs, and these areas aren't recovering yet. Ford, according to the Census Bureau, over 200,000 jobs in Pennsylvania are supported by the export market, and that's a $36 billion market. In fact, more than half of them are with countries we have free trade agreements with. So if we do launch into a full-scale trading war or some sort of tariff battle, there will be casualties on our side, at least initially.
Well, there may be casualties, but you have to understand something. Elections are solely about emotion, okay? In this era of globalization, the rules of trade are not working for working-class Americans in Main Street. And when Donald Trump says they need to be changed, trust me, people in Defiance, Ohio, are willing for any sort of lifeline out there. Understand something else. Since 2001, America's lost 3.2 million jobs to China, and guess what? 3/4 have been in manufacturing. Gee, that's Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. So he's on the right idea. I understand what you're saying about the possible repercussions, Charles, but right now people are honestly looking for water, and they're going to listen to anyone who's speaking their tone and understand their plight, and that's what Donald Trump's doing.
Dave, real quick, Donald Trump also making a plea to Bernie Sanders supporters once again, because I think he's got Hillary Clinton in a serious pickle on this. Her support for TPP until, of course, she didn't support it. Her husband signing NAFTA, and it is something that everyone's hitting on. The emotions right now on this running extraordinarily high. This is, in my mind, is his strongest case for being president of the United States. How does Hillary combat that?
Well, I think you're right, Charles. The anger is going against the facts in some cases with respect to NAFTA. There's an underlying anger. Almost no one is for these trade agreements at this point. Don't forget, Trump was for globalization 3 years ago in a CNN op-ed. Hillary Clinton was for TPP until it got finalized, and then she said she's against it. So this anger is going to fuel it. And the question is, I think people should sort of ask, what does this really look like to unravel these agreements? It's like the same kind of question the Brexit voters are asking the day after they voted.
And the Brexit voter says, you know what, we'll take our chances. All right, guys, thanks a lot.